Hi friends, welcome to Moms and Money, where we talk about managing money, making money, and saving money for the women in the household. And today, my friends, we are talking about sinking funds. Yes, sinking funds. Now, sinking funds are one of my favorite things when it comes to personal finance and budgeting, because sinking funds really help save your budget. Sinking funds is the reason why you stay out of debt. So if you create and manage your sinking funds well, the likelihood of you staying out of consumer debt is very, very high. All right, so let's take it back to the beginning and explain what a sinking fund is. This is straight from Google, okay? It says a sinking fund is a fund containing money set aside or saved to pay off a debt or bond. A company that issues debt will need to pay that debt off in the future, and the sinking fund helps to soften the hardship of a large outlay of revenue. Now, let me explain what sinking funds are in a Dave Ramsey's perspective. Sinking funds are literally just mini savings accounts, or just money that you're saving to pay for something in the future. Okay, so it's like little mini savings for whatever you have that's going to come up in the future. And this is why I say sinking funds help to keep you out of debt. Now, if you're following the Dave Ramsey plan, as you know, sinking funds, like an emergency fund is a type of sinking fund, and that is baby step 3 in the Dave Ramsey plan. If you're not familiar with the Dave Ramsey plan, baby step 1 is saving $1,000 for emergency. Baby step 2 is paying off all your consumer debt, so that's all the debt except for the mortgage. Baby step 3 is fully funding your emergency fund for 3 to 6 months. Baby step 4 is investing 15% of your household income into retirement. Baby step 5 is saving for a college fund for your children. Baby step 6 is to pay off your home early, and baby step 7 is to build wealth and give. Okay, so if you don't know a lot about me, my husband and I are currently on baby steps 4, 5, and 6 at the same time. Okay, but not too long ago, we were on baby steps 1, 2, and 3, and we did baby steps 1, 2, and 3 all at the same time. Now, I have a course that goes into detail that teaches people how to get out of debt and stay out of debt, because we did things a little bit differently than the Dave Ramsey plan. Because for me and my family, I just felt like there was another way, a more efficient way and a less risky way to pay off all of our debt. And if you're interested in learning more about that, a link to my course, Over Budget to Overjoyed, is in the description box to learn more. But at the end of the day, I must say sinking funds it's a priority for anyone's budget, okay? Regardless if you are in the midst of paying off your debt or not, if you know that an expense is coming up, a big expense that's going to hit your budget hard in a particular month, then you need to have a sinking fund to plan for it. Because the worst thing that you can do is be all gung-ho and ready to pay off your debt and you're doing great, and then boom, something happens in life and it sets you back, 10 steps. Like if you move forward 2 steps to be pushed back 5. You start losing momentum, and you start losing your confidence in paying off your debt, and your momentum and your steam and your excitement on paying off your debt. And that's one of the worst things that you do. You don't want to stay stagnant. You want to stay gazelle intent. You want to stay motivated, because it is a long run. It's a long journey for a small period of your life, but it is so worth it to just have that feeling of being debt-free, of living debt-free, and not having that burden of all this debt on our backs, okay? So last week we talked about creating a budget. If you remember, creating our monthly budget, an annual budget, or a budget by paycheck, whatever's easier, for you. Let me show you that. I talked about, you can do a monthly budget, a budget by paycheck. An annual budget is a must, okay? If you wanna really, really excel and learn how you can maximize your money the best, having an annual budget is so important. I talked about that last week. If you're curious, this is all a part of my budgeting bundle printables. The link for that is in the description box. You can download it yourself. You can create yourself a finance binder or a budgeting binder for yourself at home if you are a paper and pen kind of girl. I personally track everything in Excel, and you can download my free zero-based budget in the description box if you're an Excel person. If you like to just track everything in Excel like me, you can just download those. But if you're a paper and pen kind of person, which there's nothing wrong with that, I'm half paper and pen, half Excel, this is what I created for you. So let's talk about this sheet. Now, again, you don't have to use my printables to create sinking funds. You can do it any way that you want and any way that you're comfortable with. But for me, this is the way that made the most sense for me. This sheet that I created is intended to be used once a month, okay, for your sinking fund, so that you'll know exactly, you know, how much is in your sinking fund at the end of each month. Now, an example of a sinking fund, first of all, my husband and I have a lot of sinking funds. We have a lot of sinking funds because, you know, we are consumer debt free, and so any kind of extra money that we have, they go towards some sort of sinking fund, whether it be our emergency fund, vacation fund, anything. Vacation, that's an example of a sinking fund. An emergency fund, that's a sinking fund for short-term emergencies. For us, our homeowners association fee is pretty expensive and we have to pay it once a year, so we save a little bit every single month until that time comes to pay it, and then we don't get hit with that big expense come, you know, it's time to pay it. You know, maybe you know that you're going to need a new hot water heater for your house. That's a good $1,200. Right? You know it's coming, so start setting aside some money so that when it comes, you're not just blindsided with it and you have to just swipe it on your credit card and not be able to pay it off in full when that bill comes. Okay, sinking funds help to prevent those types of things. So let me show you how to use this printable. First of all, I think it's important for you to write your goal or why you're doing this, because then it keeps you motivated, especially if you see it every single day. Okay, so if your goal is to fund your sinking funds by $500 for the month, then you're gonna write that here. Or maybe you want to get out of debt or stay out of debt for your family, you can write that here. So let's take a look. For me, it's going to be to stay out of debt. So what you want to do is you want to have a date here so that you know what month you're working with, and it's January, so I'm just going to do, or you could do it by day, because if you're the type of person who's going to put money into your sinking funds every single day, then every date that you put money in, you would put here. Okay, but for me, it's like a monthly thing, right? So for this is January 2020, and the first sinking fund is going to be HOA. If you're just starting out, your beginning balance is going to be 0. But if you already have sinking funds in place, you would just put whatever your beginning balance is at the beginning of the month at the time that, you know, you're starting this. So for us, let's just pretend it's 0. Now I know my HOA is going to be $750 fee. I'm going to spread this out over 12 months. That means I have to save $62.50 every month. Now, what if you say, well, Gia, what if, you know, I only have 6 months until it's time for me to pay my HOA? Well, if that's the case, you would do $750 divided by 6 months, however many months it is. Then it would be $125 a month. You need to make sure that you have that $125 somewhere in your normal monthly budget to pay for that in order to transfer the money into a savings account for your sinking funds. So I'm gonna put $62.50 in. I'm not gonna take any money out, and the ending balance at the end of the month is going to be $62.50. Let's see, another example of sinking fund is like doctor visits, because you never know, with the way into health insurance is, you never know what's covered or what's not. So sometimes I like to have a doctor visit sinking fund. So I just call it health care. Let's say our beginning balance was $100 and our input is, I'm guessing here, let's see, our input is $25 for the month, but you had a doctor's visit that you had to go to and you had to pay $15, right? That's the output. So what would your ending balance be? Well, your beginning balance was 100 plus the $25 that you put in for the month minus the $15. So your ending balance is going to be $110 sinking fund. Now your list is going to go on with however many sinking funds you have. You can make a sinking fund for wherever you want to. You just have to make sure that whatever you're inputting, you have accounted for on your monthly budget, which is why I have on my sheet here, I have a section for sinking funds. So you would have write your sinking fund category here, the date, what you're budgeting to put in for sinking funds, what you're actually putting in for sinking funds. So your actual would be whatever your input is here. and whatever you're budgeting it at the top of the year. Because for me, we look at all of our sinking funds. You know, I start with my annual budget, and then I work my way down to my monthly budget. And in there, I start thinking about how much do I want to save out of all the money that I'm going to make this year? How much of that do I want to save? And then that's when I start breaking up my sinking funds. That's how I create a sinking fund budget. So you go at the top of the year and you say, okay, I want to save $3,000 for my sinking funds. And you break it out into your categories, and that's going to be your budget. And then what you actually, you know, put in or take out needs to go here. So it's either going to be a plus or a minus. Okay, so for this one, you know, you're going to put in $25 minus the $15 that you paid out. So it's only going to be a plus $10 here. Does that make sense? So plus 10, let's write that out. So this is healthcare, or health, I'll just put 120. The budget is, let's just say $25. You put in 10, and the difference is 15. The difference really doesn't matter. It's really just what you're actually putting in, because we had a beginning balance of $100. We actually put in 10, so that makes the ending balance of 110. But like I said, this is just the way that I would do it. You can manage your sinking funds any way you want to, and you can have as many sinking funds as you want. Don't get intimidated. If your focus right now is paying off your debt, focus on that. That's where the majority of your money should go. But at the same time, as an adult, things happen, especially if you're a homeowner. You just never know what can happen. And if you know that your washer and dryer are on its last leg, start saving a little bit of money for that, because it's going to come. That expense is going to come, and you don't want to just add into your debt and increase your debt that you're in to pay for that washer and dryer. That's just an example. But this is the way that I track my sinking funds, like I said, but it's all in Excel and that's in the description box. But in its simplest form, that is what a sinking fund is. So what I would do is every time you put money into that sinking fund, because maybe you can't at this point put money in every single month. And if you're there, that's fine. You know, you're just gonna put money in your sinking fund when you can. That's why it's important to do your zero-based budget. Because at any point where you have some extra money in your account, that could be allocated to something really fun like a vacation or anything like that. Most importantly, it needs to be allocated to your debt if you are still in consumer debt, which is credit cards, student loans, and car notes. And of course, there's, you know, hospital bills and all of that, but all of your extra money should go to that. But once you're to the point where you've paid all your consumer debt off and you want to do something fun, you know, every single time that you know, put money towards something like this is a fun way to track it. Now, it doesn't have to be vacation. I mean, maybe it is a new hot water heater and you need motivation. You can color this really nicely. So every time you could do it, it's up to you. So every time you post maybe $50, you can write 50 in here and then color all around it. A horrible drawer. And then that's that. And then you can change the color. And maybe next time you have enough money to put $10 towards it. You put $10 here and you can color all around it. However you want to do it. There's 93 boxes in here. So if you want to do $50 93 times to get to your $5,000 budget, then that's what you would do. But it's just like a fun way to just track where you're going. Or another way to do it is like, let's say you have $60 totaled here, and then the next time you add another $50. So then your balance for your fund would be $110. So you can write 110, and then after you add again, let's say you add $30, it would be $140. So you keep going until you reach your goal, and whatever your goal is. So I made up the amount of $5,000. So when you get to $5,000, and even if you need to print yourself out another sinking funds tracker, you know, it's just something to celebrate. It's just something fun, like a fun way to track. If you're into bullet journaling or something like that, it's just like any other tracker. It's just a fun way to look at the numbers as opposed to listing it and writing it all down. Now, like I said, every single month, will you be able to deposit into your sinking funds? Not everybody's able to do that every single month, and I understand that. But this is just a way to track it. So every single time you get a new month, you are going to, you know, add in the amounts that you're going to put into your sinking funds and take out to your sinking funds. Another thing is you can print this out again and have it be an annual look at your sinking funds, so that you know at the end of every year or at the end of your 12-month period, you have a certain amount of money, you have the total amount for your HOA. For us, it's whenever it's due. So if it's due in January, you want to start in January of the previous year and save all the way up through December, and then come January when the bill comes, you pay it. For us, another big sinking fund is car maintenance. Now with our cars are older, girl, because you know I don't believe in car notes. Our cars are older. And when you have an older car, girl, a simple oil change can turn into something really big. That recently just happened to us. And I was so glad that I had these sinking funds in place for our cars so that we didn't have to go into debt to pay for a major expense, you know, especially if you have an older car. So we put a certain amount in for our car maintenance, and it's a large amount because you just don't know, you know, what you're going to have to pay for. Now, we also have another sinking fund for a new car because we know eventually we're gonna have to get a new car that we wanna pay cash for. And so at that point, if the car maintenance balance is really, really high, then I would take some of the car maintenance money out and put it towards our next car fund. But I wanna talk to people right now who are struggling to pay their bills, literally living paycheck to paycheck, and you just don't have enough to cover your bills. In my example with my monthly budget, they were in excess. So they had an extra $300 and then their bills ended up being $1,900. And so they had an extra $900 in their budget. Now, if it's the opposite for you, and once maybe you're doing your zero-based budget for the first time and you're seeing that you literally don't have enough money to pay your bills every single month, you have to figure out a way to cut something out, okay? You wanna make sure that you have a roof over your head for you and your family, and you wanna make sure that you have food. I mean, it's gonna be the basics of food. I'm talking rice and peas, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but everybody has something to eat. You wanna take care of those bills first. Everything else you need to cut. I know it's easier said than done, and I understand the struggle, girl. I really do. But if you want to get ahead and if you want to get out of this, you have to make changes. Whether it be getting an extra job, creating a side hustle, trying to make more money so that you can cover your basic bills, whatever it is that you need to do, you need to put it in action. Because complaining about it and just talking about it is not going to fix it, okay? But I'm here to encourage you. I want you to know there are possible ways for you to create a really good extra income with side hustling, because honestly, in the current environment of our world, and not only just in the United States economy, but the world economy itself, it is really dangerous to rely on just one source of income. And whether that be just your 9 to 5 or what, to rely on just one source of income is very, very risky. It's much more riskier than it was for our parents, you know, or the previous generations. It's much more riskier now. People will get let go at the drop of a dime at their job. Even if they've been there for 15, 20 years, it doesn't matter. They will let you go and not really care about it. So I encourage you to try to come up with some sort of side hustle or some way for you to make some extra money. I've actually did a video on that on this channel, high paying work from home jobs. You could tap this eye right here to watch it. But I encourage you to stay motivated, really think outside of the box and try to make yourself some extra money so that you can cover your basic bills. Because if you're in the red, you need to cut anything that's extra. Your groceries need to be basic. Your cell phone needs to be basic. If you're in the red, there's no reason why you should have a very expensive iPhone. No reason why. That needs to be sold. You need to start selling things that you don't need, okay? Basically things that are just a want. Those things need to be sold until you can turn things around. Just think, you're just sacrificing for a small period of your life. Once you make these sacrifices, your whole world will change and open up, I promise you. Just stay encouraged, pray about it, ask the Lord to just guide you in the right direction. So that is it, my friends. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you have any questions. Again, my printables, I think it's like over 15 pages for the budgeting printables. I also have my meal planning and grocery budget printables. Altogether, it's over 20 pages. If you're interested in that, the link for that, it will be in the description box. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, you can tap my picture on the screen, and you can also check out my previous video right next to it, and all of my social media platforms all listed down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.